Coming up on Look Today, well, a public meeting was held last night in Glens Falls concerning issues in the 21st Congressional District. I've got details. And we have more on the possibility of the dissolution of Lake George Village. That's coming up. And a zoning amendment proposal is unanimously passed by the Saratoga City Council. I've got those details. It's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm J. Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. Well, on tonight's program, I sit down with Tony Garcia. He's Public Relations Officer for American Legion Post 233 in Glens Falls. And he's here to talk about a very important discussion that's happening on March 1st. I also sit down with Mike Finacci. He's the Executive Director of Shelters of Saratoga. And he's here to talk about the upcoming construction of a brand new 2-story building that will house Code Blue Shelter Services. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, and what a lead story, concerned citizens of Glens Falls spoke at a public town hall style meeting at Crandall Public Library in Glens Falls. Congresswoman Stefanik was invited, but she was not there. Now, the meeting was packed with over 200 people in attendance. Now, while the purpose of the meeting was to invite community members to share their thoughts on issues concerning the 21st Congressional District, neither the Congresswoman nor her representatives were able to attend. Now, we were at the meeting where we spoke to a number of people, including Al Ormsby, a concerned resident.
If Representative Stefanik wants to represent 700,000 people on very important issues, she has an obligation to talk to her constituents, not only the constituents that agree with her, but the constituents who disagree with her, and I'm very upset about the fact she's not here.
The meeting was recorded and will be sent to Congresswoman Stefanik along with questions for her to answer. Now, the Congresswoman was unable to attend because she was traveling on a congressional delegation trip. Now, we spoke to another community activist who was concerned that she wasn't there.
I am here because this is a town hall for Elise Stefanik, for us to be able to ask our elected official questions. She has chosen not to show up here. So everyone is inside. We've been locked out, shut out because of overcapacity. So I'm out here bringing my statement to the street.
Now, as you can tell, we heard from a lot of people. These people are very concerned. But we reached out to the Congresswoman, and in a prepared statement, her office stated that we're working with people across the district to schedule meetings with the Congresswoman over the coming weeks to hear their concerns and discuss the Congresswoman's priorities. Now, stick around for the lookout at the end of the program because I've got more information about this that I would like to share with you. In other news, the Lake George Village Board met last night and voted to form a committee concerning the dissolution of the village. Now, as a result of the meeting, guidelines will be set to regulate the process. It's a long process. And the next town board meeting, a committee will be put together to facilitate the change. Now, as we told you last night, while residents of Lake George will really not notice any major changes, taxpayers and the town will be able to save money. We spoke to Mayor Bob Blaze of Lake George, what this would mean for Lake George.
I'm hopeful that the committee can come up with a plan that will give the people a clear and honest answer as to what exactly is going to happen, and then we have a vote finally.
Wow, another big issue in our community. All right, switching from news to weather. Today was a beautiful spring-like day. I got news for you. It was just like a spring day. In fact, the temperature broke records, reaching 64 degrees. Now, the previous record, they tell me, was set in 1984. How about that? All right, let's see how the rest of the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening so far. We've seen some pretty mild temperatures holding on. That'll be the story over the next day or so, but eventually the cold air will get here behind not one but two weak frontal boundaries that'll push on by. Now, the Big story right now continues to be across the midsection of the U.S. where they're watching for some blizzard conditions to be likely across portions of South Dakota. Now, cold frontal boundary closer to home, not going to be producing much in the way of rainfall. We're going to still see some better chances of rainfall into the weekend, but some light rain expected to eventually move back in before we get that commute done tomorrow morning. Temperatures in the 30s, 40s, even 50s. Scranton 51, Pittsburgh and D.C. in the mid-50s for the overnight hour. So we'll stay above freezing. That's the good news. Mostly cloudy skies. Those winds calming back down. Low of 37. Highs will peak back out at 54 degrees. Light rain. We'll continue to watch mild weather with us through the mid-morning into the afternoon. Out the door tomorrow morning, we're going to want to be careful. We'll see overcast skies, cool, wet conditions, but everything in the form of liquid. Rain showers start to move back in. Temperatures in those lower to mid-30s, and then watching temperatures come up nicely over the coming days. 58 degrees on Saturday for the afternoon high, and temperatures still starting to slide back down. After those showers move out Saturday, Sunday we expect to see temperatures around 38 degrees, so a big cool down expected, but temperatures do stay above freezing and start to moderate out a bit heading into next week. Well, that's it from the First Look Weather Center. Now let's get back to you, Jesse.
Thanks, Brad. You might have noticed that long-term forecast is beginning to change with warmer temperatures. What a winter. All right, back to the news. The Saratoga City Council unanimously passed a zoning plan that was proposed by Mike Ingersoll from the LA Group. The plan, which was presented at Tuesday's council, would include 3 different phases. Now, although the application still has to be reviewed further, the proposal was passed by all commissioners. Now, the LA Group plans to amend the zone that includes the Pitney Meadows Farm. They want to change it from urban residential to planned unit development. Now, we're in contact with the LA Group, and we'll have more on this in the coming days. All right, up next, I sit down with Tony Garcia. He's a public relations officer for American Legion Post 233 in Glens Falls, and he's here to talk about a very important discussion, a lecture that's happening on March 1st. I also sit down with Mike Finacci. He's the executive director for Shelters of Saratoga, and he's here to talk about the upcoming construction of a brand new 2-story building that will house Code Blue Shelter Services. But first, if you've seen who's happening, you want to share a story idea. How about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. I've really got one lookout tonight, which is more on this meeting that was held in Glens Falls last night. And first, I really want to thank our crew. That's Andrew, Drew, and Dana, because they really did their due diligence on this. There was a lot of confusing information about who formed this meeting, what it was about. And the more we dug into it, the more we found out about it. And, you know, I've met with Ms. Stefanik numerous times, and I found her to be very focused, smart, very involved with issues in our district. And I also receive daily emails from her office on legislative issues that she's involved with in Washington that affect us. Now, the reason I say this is that, you know, we all know there are many voters for and against this administration, and the heightened anger over the election is palatable, and it clouds the real issues facing our country. Now, the facts are important. The meeting in Glens Falls was not set up by her office. It was organized by concerned citizens. That's fine. And I spoke to Stefanik's representatives today, and they assured me that she will be in the district and meet with voters in person when she's here. And I also asked that we have the opportunity to interview her. Now, town hall meetings across the country are being met with enormous voter involvement and dissatisfaction. It's a very trying time. And if it's helpful at all, from my experience, Ms. Stefanik is a representative who is connected, involved, and willing to listen. Now, trust me, I do not endorse or support many of the moves this administration is making, but I will give our representative the chance to hear what she has to say in an environment where she has the opportunity to speak her mind, and we get the opportunity to form an opinion. Tonight on Look TV, it's sold. That's our call-in auction program, Great Estate Jewelry and Coins. And don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.